And we're back with Tim Parlatore, former Trump criminal defense team on the documents case. You heard Andrew Weissman at the beginning of the show where we talked about what's going on with the Florida grand jury. What might this mean for possible future defendant Trump in a documents prosecution jurisdictionally? Would that be in a Florida federal court? Would that be in a Washington federal court? What do you think?
Well, I listened to that piece, and I actually agree with just about everything he said there. You know, this case, you know, if you look at the allegations, nothing happened in D.C. If it was document retention, it happened in Florida. If there was obstruction, it happened in Florida. The case began with a D.C. grand jury, and yet they never really had venue there. And so it kind of strikes me as they've gotten down to the end. You know, that grand jury expired, you know, a few weeks ago. And then rather than restart it with a new D.C. grand jury, they restarted in Florida in an admission, I think, that they have spent this entire year investigating something without first hitting that threshold issue of venue. So I don't think it's so much a choice to go to Florida, so much as it's a choice that if you go to D.C., it's going to get dismissed. So I think that that's probably where it's gone. But one of the things to remember, this case was started by National Security Division, not criminal AUSAs, not criminal prosecutors. And when they began it, they made a lot of mistakes, in my opinion. They did a lot of things that that I have never seen out of experienced U.S. attorneys' offices. And so really Jack Smith, when he comes in, I suspect that behind closed doors, he looked at a lot of this stuff and said, my gosh, guys, what did you do? You know, we gotta fix this. But as a special counsel, if all you're going to do is get to the end of this and just write a report, it doesn't matter where the grand jury was. Right. Because there's no motion with venue or anything like that.
So that's an indicator, the Florida grand jury to you is an indicator of maybe moving closer to indictment.
It certainly is an indicator that they're considering.
Yeah. To the, one of the most recent developments is this existence of an audio tape from Mark Meadows' ghostwriters of his book. They're talking to Donald Trump about Mark Meadows, and he's talking to them about a classified document that on the audio tape, according to the reports, it sounds like the document is being waved around in New Jersey. So now we're into some interesting interstate travel of possible classified documents illegally possessed by Donald Trump. Did you know about that audio tape while you were working on the defense?
So I was aware of the audio tape.
Have you heard it?
I have. It's not.
Is he waving a document around?
It's not clear what he's waving around. It's certainly not even clear what he's specifically talking about. You know,
Wouldn't you like to, as a Donald Trump defense lawyer, as soon as you hear that audio, know immediately and have absolute total clarity about what's going on? In a normal case, wouldn't you immediately go to the client and say, what were you holding?
Ordinarily, that is something you discuss with the client. You know, this is a case where, and I'm not going to say whether I went and talked to the client, because if I did, that's privilege. So that's not something I'm going to discuss. But yes, that's ordinarily something we would absolutely discuss. There is nothing in that tape that I heard that makes clear what he's holding, whether he's actually holding any type of classified document or confidential document or anything else.
Is it clear to you that he possesses such a document?
No, not at all. Not at all. In fact, from what I hear, what he's describing, the Department of Defense and Mark Milley has denied that such a document exists. So is it one of those things where he's, you know, whether bluffing or joking, saying, oh, yeah, I got something to prove.
People use a word other than bluffing for what Donald Trump says when it's not true.
He's my former client. I'm not going to use that word.
I understand. But, let me take you back to your let's assume if there's a defendant Trump in this case, I assume it's very unlikely he would testify in the case. You would try to get to a verdict without putting him on the stand. He's obviously a horrible witness. You don't even have to comment on that. The whole world knows it. They've seen him on TV.
I hardly ever put my clients on.
Okay. So what's your final argument to the jury about the classified document found in his desk?
I would need to see what it is first.
No,
we
you don't.
We don't
Because
know what it is.
No, according to 18 USC 1519, it can be any record or document, anyone owned by the
Photocopy.
United States government.
Photocopy.
Anyone.
A photocopy?
The-
What if it's a photocopy?
Okay.
What if it's, hypothetically, we're talking about a photocopy of a Crossfire Hurricane document that
Okay.
he ordered declassified? If it's a photocopy of that,
Okay, if it's not,
then this doesn't apply.
But, so what I'm hearing is, if it's a classified document, there's going to be no defense. There's going to be no final argument on it. It's just hopeless.
no, I'm saying that until I see what it is, I mean, you're giving me an interesting hypothetical here to come up with a quick.
Have you
thing.
seen the desk? You've been through the home in Florida, the residence in Florida. Have you seen the desk we're talking about?
I have not.
You've never been up there?
No, I haven't gone to that area.
How could you represent the client without seeing all of these locations that are relevant?
Well,
Did he not let you see his office?
no, I could have seen it if I wanted to. I didn't need to. We have a team where each of us is handling a different, aspect. We work very well together. Other members of the team have seen it. It certainly wasn't relevant at this stage.
When the news report came out about the desk, you guys didn't go, hey, let's go take a look at that desk and see what's going on with those drawers.
Other members of the team have been there.
Timothy Palatori, thank you very much for joining us tonight. I really appreciate this. I could go on and on and on, as you know, including on all the legal points that you'd like to raise. Really appreciate you giving us your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.